Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is going to be my monthly haul video of everything I picked up on Blu-ray, possibly 4K. Can't remember now if I picked up any 4Ks and some DVDs this month as well. So yeah, this is for February 2025. Let's take a look. So, as I say, almost every month I think, basically I went a bit overboard this month, didn't intend to. But yeah, I've got two big stacks here to go through. So I've got like basically the first pile of stuff I'm going to go through is stuff that I've either seen many years ago and I just wanted to pick it up because I haven't seen it in a long time, or it's stuff that I've been watching since picking it up this month. So yeah, I'll go through the first pack, and then the second stack of stuff here is kind of all the stuff that I've picked up because it's either been recommended or it's just sparked my interest when I've been looking online or been browsing the CX app, or just fancied it when I saw it. So yeah, we'll go from there. So the first thing I picked up, well, one of the first things I picked up, is a movie with Johnny Depp, John Waters films. I don't know if I've seen a John Waters film. I feel like he's someone that I've heard of, but I may have seen all of his films. I might have seen none, I can't remember. But it's called Cry Baby. Yeah, so I've watched this, I think 80s, I want to say, an 80s movie. I've been on a massive 80s kick recently, so I've been watching like loads of nostalgic 80s movies. Some I've seen, some I haven't, a lot I haven't really. And this came up a few times on a few lists, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to throw that in the basket. It seems to be quite hard to get hold of. I think I found this through CEX when it was about £10. But I did do a massive cull. I had a week off work basically quite recently, and I ended up going through the collection and just like culling a load of stuff and trading in loads of stuff, get loads of vouchers. So a lot of this, although it's a massive pile, in real money I didn't spend as much as I probably would have done normally, in actual cash, so it wasn't so bad. But yeah, so Crybaby, I have no idea what this was, but I quite liked it. It's quite good. It's not for everyone, definitely not for everyone, but it was a little bit like a Romeo and Juliet type story, but set almost in the 80s with just random musical numbers. Stuart George, maybe it's your cup of tea. You might have seen this, you may already like it, I don't know. Yeah, bizarre. I enjoyed it. I wasn't quite sure what I was watching, the time went quick. But yeah, Johnny Depp is essentially like this character here. It is set up a little bit like Grease, in the way it looks in certain ways, in like the time period. So you got a little bit like Grease, but you got kind of like the backstory of almost like a Romeo and Juliet tale of like this guy is one of the I forget what they call them now, like basically one of the rebels in the town of this group of like rebel kids that hang out and just like wear leather jackets and smoke and do all this stuff. And then you've got like the good kids in the town, which are all kind of like, you know, in cardigans and smartly dressed and brushed hair and stuff. And there's just rivalry between the two groups, but it's all kind of like, I want to say like PG kind of style rivalry, or 12. It's a 15. It's difficult. I can't quite remember why it's 15, but yeah. So they're just kind of like they're against each other. But he's this guy called Crybaby. It's a bit random. It's a bit funny. It's got some songs in it which I didn't mind. I'm not the biggest musical fan, but yeah, it was entertaining. It was really entertaining, and just the 80s kind of feel of this one was actually pretty good. So yeah, I threw that in the pile, and I'd probably be keeping this one in the collection because it entertained me enough. So okay, so the next one I picked up was actually more of a recent pickup. So this one, I just literally browsed on eBay and I found this one, and it's called Super Dark Times. I feel like it was a very distant memory of seeing this somewhere on a list years ago, but forgotten all about it. Hadn't watched it before. I have watched it since. I watched this last night. I thought it's pretty solid, to be fair. Like, I'll tell you what sold me on this one. Inside, on the alternative artwork, which just has the German certificate on it, the tagline at the top, or some of the text at the top, basically says "Stand By Me" meets Donnie Darko. Now, two of my favourite films probably of all time. It doesn't get to those heights, I would say, by any means, but it does. I can definitely see where they're going with that. So if you're not familiar with this title, like I wasn't, it's a hard one not to spoil, so I'll skirt around it as best I can. But yeah, it's basically set in I want to say it's set in the 90s, maybe early 2000s at a push, but it feels like it's set in the 90s. You know, kids on bikes, like, you know, young kids, pre-teens / teenagers on bikes going around, and let's just say they make a bad decision. So, you know, trying to skirt around any spoilers here, but they make a bad decision quite early on in the film, so maybe about 20 minutes into the film, 25 minutes into the film. And after that, it's then them dealing with that bad decision for the sort of rest of the film. You know, it follows similar types of films like Mean Creek and what else is there? just where, you know, where kids kind of like messing around, something goes bad, and then you kind of witness them deal with this situation. So yeah, I don't want to say too much, because if you want to check it out, I don't want to spoil anything for you. I'll be honest, this one, it was good. It wasn't amazing, but it was good, and I thought it had me wincing. Some certain bits of this film actually made me kind of curl up and shy away, and I watched some like gory horror. So some of this stuff, it shot quite realistically. Had a little bit of feel of, I think it's that film called Elephant, if anyone's familiar with that, where, you know, about the school sort of shooting. Not that that's any way related in terms of the topic, but just that kind of feel to it a little bit, where the kids are kind of really well acted, really good actors. And the other one it reminded me of a little bit is a film I haven't seen in a long time, but I do have. It's called Brick. So if you're fans of those type of films where they're kind of like young casts, but they're doing a really good job at acting, yeah, it's good. It's worthwhile. I did look on, I think, Letterboxd, and just to check out after I rated it for myself, you know, who else I might know that's in it. And I noticed a few people, it's got mixed opinions. So some people didn't rate it as highly as me. Some people rated it a little bit higher, I think. So, you know, check it out for yourself if it sounds interesting. I quite liked it. So next one. So I went, so this is when I had my week off. I took it, I think I went to several CEXs across the week, both to drop off a load of stuff and then basically pick up a few bits I'd seen they'd got in store. This one was basically a bit of a little cheeky upgrade that I thought. I bought the standard edition of this one way back and got around to watching it eventually, and really enjoyed it. It's a horror movie, and I saw the special edition there, and I was pretty confident that the special edition goes for stupid money online. So when I saw it there for £12, I thought, yep, I'm going to get that and upgrade the standard edition. This one comes with a CD soundtrack, and it's the nice sort of second side box set of Changeling. So yeah, really creepy horror. If you haven't seen this one, ghost story type film. I really enjoyed it, so yeah, upgraded myself for £12 on that one. I thought that was a bargain. You'll start to see a bit of a run on what I was doing here for a while. Another upgrade, I did get a cheapish import version of this film, because it's one of the ones I've loved for so long, since I was a teenager. Another creepy kind of ghost, sort of a ghost story type one, called Session 9. So this one, I forget how much this one was. I feel like this one was £18, I want to say, when I picked it up. I don't know, it changes on CX obviously, but yeah, Session 9, I thought, do you know what, I've got so much to trade in, so much vouchers coming my way, I am going to chop in some of that voucher for one of these. So yeah, lovely box set obviously there, like they normally do. So yeah, so I had the import version. Really enjoyed this film. Really kind of atmospheric and creepy. If you like those type of like weird, creepy, kind of spooky environment films, check that one out. Sorry, I'm going to move quite quick because I've got so many titles. I don't want this video to be like 4 hours long. Another one I was umming and ahhing about, and I think I heard about this on who was it? Jordan's channel over at Movie Worm, Movie Squirm. If I remember, I will try and link him in here. Great guy. I watch his channel quite a lot, and I'm sure it was one of his videos quite a while back now that he discovered this film and was shouting out, and I've had that vague memory still in the back of my head. And I saw it came up in CEX near me, and I thought, yep, I'm going to go and try this one out, because a lot of times me and Jordan have very similar tastes in films. Not all the time, same as everyone, we all got different tastes, but quite a lot of the time we do. And that's a movie called Bull. So again, nice big chunky second sight box on here with all the gubbins inside. Nice box set. He wasn't wrong, I really enjoyed this film. I think on my letterbox I give this 4 out of 5 stars. Again, it's not one that I want to tell you too much about in case it spoils too much of the movie. So if it's kind of a British film, it sort of reminded me of stories like The Crow / Dead Man's Shoes, if that kind of gives you a vibe of what you're getting there. So if you sort of blend those two together a little bit and make it British and quite gritty. Again, this one's got some really good sort of like brutal moments in it, where you kind of like, if you're not, you know, if you're a bit squeamish, you will be looking away, I guarantee it. But yeah, if that triggers any interest for you, I would highly recommend checking out that movie called Bull. Next one was one that I think I didn't realise, but I had seen this years ago, and I'd forgotten all about it. But when I started putting it in again and I started watching it, I thought, I do remember this one. I like it. It's one of those trashy kind of horror movies that were made in, I want to say, the early 2000s. Another one that's quite hard to get now. So I've got a video coming up soon, I think I'm going to do about just collecting in general and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'll probably touch on that when I get to it. So this one was a movie called Charlie's Farm. So who's in this one? I haven't got my specs on. Tara Reid, I think, is in this one. Is probably the biggest star I can think of in here. Just one of those kind of like, you know, slasher movies. I want to say it's an Australian-based one. I may be wrong there, but I feel like the accents were Australian for a lot of these. And then, yeah, so these group of kids go off to explore this place called Charlie's Farm. And they kind of like, they've heard all these tales and rumours about this Charlie's Farm and about this horrific guy or character that lives out there and just kills off people and such. And they want to go see if the tales are true, and they want to go investigate. And sure, yeah, again, I won't spoil anything if you haven't seen it, but if you like those early 2000 teen slasher movies, this is probably one you want to have a little look at. It's not, again, not amazing, but it definitely ticks a few boxes if you like that kind of gory horror from the early 2000s. Another one I picked up was one that I also got from CEX with the vouchers, again, just because it was kind of free money to some extent. And this is a movie that I've had on DVD behind me for the longest time. It's been like a placeholder for a Blu-ray because I haven't had a Blu-ray of this one for the longest time. And that is a movie called The Gift. So Sam Raimi movie, sort of supernatural style horror, thriller, mystery type movie. Yeah, really enjoyed this. I've liked this one since, again, the early teens, really. And I was really happy when Arrow said they were going to relaunch this one. Really nice slipcover on this one. It's kind of velvety. But yeah, alternative artwork underneath. So yeah, Sam Raimi, supernatural, spooky type horror. Yeah, thriller, mystery type movie more than it is more of a horror. So there's not really heavy horror on this one. Again, I won't spoil this one if you haven't seen this one, but the fairly basic outline is this lady here, Kate. She's going to be, she's kind of like a, she predicts the future, a clairvoyant type thing, but it obviously doesn't work all the time. Just she gets visions of certain things and certain crimes, and then something kicks off in the town which she's kind of like linked to, and the police have to investigate, and she gets sort of like drawn into it. And there's a kind of a whodunit style thing. I really enjoyed this one. I thought this was pretty good. So another one, again, which I've had this on pre-order with 88 Movies for months and months, and again, I've got a import version of this one because it's a film that I absolutely love, and it's got so much nostalgia for me. And this is the Masters of the Universe 88 Films edition. Had to pick this up when I saw this was going to be pre-ordered. As much as I like the import version, nice to have the proper like UK version if you can get it, I think, personally, especially when they do this really nice artwork on here. Haven't opened it yet because I've seen the film so many times, you know. But yeah, really a super edition, that one that came through. So then I had a couple of movies that I picked up at a charity shop, which I haven't seen recently, but I remember seeing them way back in the day, again, early teens, and it's about time now I'm ready to go back to these and just investigate. I think these were, I think one of these was 20p, one was a pound. Two different charity shops. So this one was, I think, 20p. Kim Basinger, so she's in this one. It's a movie called Bless the Child. So again, vague memories of these ones, so I can't tell you too much about it. But I remember as a young kid, I'd check these ones out, so the nostalgia for this is going to be good for me to go back to. And then another one, which was a pound in a charity shop, is a movie called Bats. And again, old horror, I think, I want to say 90s horror, maybe wrong, but yeah, I remember this one being fairly decent back in the day for the type of movies that I enjoy, so I threw that in the park. So next one. Now this has been one of the ones that has been sat on my wish list for ages and ages and ages, and then I think, was it this one? I'm pretty sure this one come up. I had it saved under one of those kind of US sellers because you had to import this disc, and the US sellers generally you're looking at like £20 a disc on average, and I think this one came up as a UK seller was just selling it by now for about tenner. So as soon as I saw it come up, I pulled the trigger straight away. So this one's got Tobey Maguire, Jeff Daniels, William H. Macy and Reese Witherspoon. Big fan of Reese Witherspoon. And it's called Pleasantville. So again, I've seen this one a long time ago, but when I was going through all of Reese Witherspoon's kind of like filmography, or most of it, I could get my hands on. Remember it being really good film. I can't remember a great deal. I think it goes from black and white to colour some way through, or partly into colour some way through. I can't remember exactly how or why, but I remember it being a pretty decent watch. If you like those kind of like melancholy style films, which I know I like. I'm pretty sure Ollie would like this one, or if he's probably a fan of this one already, I'd have thought. But yeah, really enjoyed this one from back in the day. Desperate for a rewatch, that one. Again, this was one that I found came up through, I think it was Rare Waves on eBay, one of their Rare Wave sites on there. And again, it's one that's not been on my wish list for a long time, normally about £20, but it came up at around a £10 price. and that is Just One of the Guys. So yeah, an 80s kind of like, it wouldn't be made today, of its time, teen comedy, which I absolutely love. And this is the type of movie I've been on an absolute kick with recently. So I've seen this before. I had a good time with this one. Again, I can't explain all these films to you because, again, this video will be here for like 4 hours. But really quickly, this girl here, I think she's trying to compete in some sort of competition at school, and she doesn't quite make it for whatever reason. They say she's not quite good enough. She kind of throws back at them and says like, "Oh, if I was a guy, I bet I would have done," or something along those lines. So she decides to dress up as a guy and pretend to be a guy, and then kind of like goes to this other competition and try and get through. But yeah, it's all just like one of its time kind of comedies, of teen comedies of the 80s, which you either love or you hate. This was a quick, just kind of like found it on the shelf and thought, I haven't got this one yet since DVD days. Watched it way back in DVD, thought it was okay. And that is The Unborn. So one of those kind of like, I want to say early 2000s, 2009. So 2009 horror. You know, not a lot of people maybe like these early 2000s horror, but it's got a special place for me. So yeah, £1.50. I was ready to go back to that one for £1.50. Quick. The next one was another rewatch one for me, which I remember quite a few people started talking quite highly of this one, and it's a good film. I just don't think it's got enough rewatch in it for me to go back to very often, so it may or may not stay in the collection, this one. But that is Tommy Lee Jones and Charlie Theron in the Valley of Elah? I can't remember now. See it on there. But yeah, pretty good. As I say, there's nothing wrong with the film. It's completely a decent film, well shot, well written, based on a true story, I believe, about this guy's son who goes off to, I think it's the Iraq War. And then he gets, basically the dad gets a phone call from the army saying like, your son's gone AWOL while he's on a few days leave. He needs to report back to base, or he's going to be in big trouble basically. And his dad says, basically just doesn't believe he's gone AWOL. Like he knows his son and he thinks there's no way he would just walk away from the army and not go back. He loves the army. So he starts investigating himself to try and track down what's happened. What I would say is the kind of like, from memory, I thought this one basically was quite a mystery all the way through, which it sort of is, but with his son and what happens to him, you do find out quite early on in the film, I feel. I want to say it's like half an hour in. You kind of find out pretty much what's happened to him, and then it's just following his dad basically confirming what's happened to him or investigating more details of how he got into that state of what happens to him. So, you know, I won't spoil too much for you. Decent film. If you like based on true story type films and you like the cast, obviously worth checking out, especially for £1.50. Next one. So this one here was one that has just sort of sparked my interest when I was browsing through the app on CEX and saw it in one of the local ones to me. This is a movie called Win Win. Obviously £4 there from CEX. So I think most places on eBay were charging quite a lot more than this at the time. So I thought, yeah, for £4, I'm going to check this one out. It has got, really should have got my glasses on. I can't think of his name, but this guy here, Paul Giamatti, is it? I think his name might be. I've seen better on the back. I really like this guy. He's been on some great movies. Was it Sideways? I think he was quite famous in doing for a long time. But this was a good tale. I enjoyed this one. So this one was he plays I would say a lawyer. He plays a lawyer who's like basically looking after all these different things in the local town to do with the law. But then he's got this guy who's looking after is getting old, he's getting dementia, he's got no family around him, and he realizes that he could literally become technically like not quite his carer, but he can look after him technically on paper, like keep an eye on him, and therefore he's entitled to a fee, to like some money for doing so. So he decides to do it a bit kind of like unhandedly, like he doesn't tell anyone really he's doing it, he kind of just fills in the paperwork and because he's desperate for money. And then this young kid turns up. And this young kid is basically the grandson to the guy who he's just done this with. This old guy, I mean, he likes the old guy, you know, he just doesn't have time to properly look after him like he's kind of signing for to say he's going to. He kind of whacks him in an old people's home. So yeah, but it's based around kind of like a school wrestling team as well. That's kind of the main crux of the film. So he's a lawyer by day, and then in his sort of like spare time, he works with his like kids' school as one of the coaches, or the main coach, I think it is, of a wrestling team. And this kid, basically, he's got the worst wrestling team. This guy, he's got they haven't won a thing ever, so he's like a terrible. But then this grandson of the guy, the old guy who's been looked after technically by the lawyer, he comes along and he starts like watching a few of the matches, and then he decides he wants to join in. And it turns out he's like super good at wrestling. So that he thinks win-win. We're going to bring the team here into like we're actually going to win a match or some against another school. And it's quite a good tale. I won't tell you the entire tale, but that's a good start on what's going on in that film. I had a good time with that one. Again, for £4, worth picking up if you like that type of thing. Now this one here, I think I've seen this loads of times on the shelf and always picked it up and then never quite bought it. I think it might have been Roy, but then I've recommended Roy before for something and it wasn't him, so hope it is Roy this time. I think it was Roy that sold me eventually on this one. In the 2 for 15 deal, a movie called Fright, so a 70s horror movie. So this one, I enjoyed this one. I thought it was really good. I thought it was shot really well. It was really interestingly shot as well. It kind of it does have a distinctive style to this one, how it's shot. Wasn't overly gory or graphic or anything like that, which, in a couple of places there was a few scenes, but not overall. It was more kind of like the aesthetic of the film stood out to me. I did enjoy it. Again, I just don't know how many times I will go back to it. I was going to put it in the to sell pile. Like, as much as I enjoyed it, I just didn't see as much rewatch value in it as I wanted to. But something is stopping me from doing it. So I'm still going to stick it in the collection for now until I've made my mind up completely. So the next one I picked up here is a movie that I think everyone crapped on at the time when it came out. I quite enjoyed it, but then I like these kind of like trashy early 2000s style movies. This is quite a more modern movie from 2022, but it has that vibe to me of the early 2000s horrors. And there's a movie called Talk to Me. So yeah, £6 and a CEX. So I saw that and I thought, yep, that's going in the basket. I enjoyed that when I checked it out first of all when it got released. I'm sure most people would know about this one if you're into that type of horrors. As I say, most people kind of just panned it when it came out. I don't mind. I quite like watching teenage. I think that was the biggest gripe, was teenagers were just making stupid decisions and being annoying, and I don't mind that they all get their comeuppance, so that worked for me. So the next one I picked up was a movie that's from, I think it was 88. It says on here. So as I say, I was going for a big 80s kind of splurge. And this is a movie called Big. Now everyone I'm sure would know this one from Tom Hanks. Just had the urge. I've watched this one several times over the years, but I just had the absolute urge. Now I've had my 80s kind of kick for the last month or so to just go back to it. And yeah, really enjoyable tale. Again, probably wouldn't get made today. About this guy who is essentially just a kid in a man's body. Aren't we all? And yeah, basically just goes around and has to actually deal with real life situations, but as a child, just in a man's body. Really good. So this one was doing the rounds on YouTube, I think maybe a month or two ago, or maybe even longer. I watched so many YouTubes, I lose track of when it was. But yeah, people were saying this is quite a surprisingly good film, and they weren't wrong, to be fair. I really enjoyed this one. So this is The Awakening. So yeah, I want to say an old school kind of feeling ghost tale, which yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Let me think back. This is one of the earlier ones I watched in the month, so bear with my poor old brain. So this one, this girl here, basically this woman here, her job is essentially to debunk paranormal activity, if I remember rightly. So she'll get called into places that are doing different things with paranormal activity or seances, and she'll essentially be able to pull the curtain back and expose anyone who's basically doing it for money and actually faking everything. And she's really good at her job. She gets called to this, I think it's an old school building that seem to have some paranormal activity, and they want her to come in and basically either just debunk it and prove that it's the kids messing around, or to kind of try and solve it. And she is desperate to try and prove that there is genuine paranormal ghost life out there, but she's been doing this for years and she's never ever had any proof, so she's quite disheartened with the whole thing. There's an underlining story of why, which I won't go into there. But yeah, really good, really kind of there were some creepy moments in this one, a few jump scares in it. But yeah, acted really well. The look of the movie was really good. Some nice big big vast landscapes and stuff. If you like those kind of spooky, creepy, haunting style movies, a bit like The Changeling that I had earlier, highly recommend you pick up that one. £2 again, bargain. So another one that a lot of people like to kind of like poo-poo on, basically, but I love it. I went to the cinema and watched this, and I was amazed. I just love seeing. I mean, channel name's Popcorn and Horror, right? You can't get much more popcorn movies than this. This is the Transformers, the first Transformers movie from Michael Bay. £8 on 4K. I just couldn't turn that down. Yeah, I remember seeing this at the cinema. I just come out with like a massive grin on my face. I just saw like big robots smash stuff up for like the last hour and a half. That's all I wanted. So in the summertime, this is definitely going on the projector system out in the garage, and I'll just like have an amazing time with that one. So not much needs to be said anymore. So this one, again, I saw this one I was streaming, I think, when it first came out, because I couldn't wait to check it out. And when it came out on Blu-ray, I kind of held back as long as I could. Went on offer at $7.99 in HMV, and it was literally the last copy in this HMV at all in there, and it had a slip-on, so I was like over the moon. $7.99, that is sting. So yeah, I know my friend Tim Cole has been shouting this one out, but yeah, definitely worth a watch. This one, I really enjoyed this one. Spiders don't bother me, to be fair. I can easily pick them up, but if you're not too fond of spiders, it might trigger you a little bit. But I enjoyed this one. I'm sure again a lot of people probably found out about this one by now, but kind of like set in an apartment building where this spider is sort of like lingering about. This girl kind of befriends it. It starts growing. I'm not gonna say too much more than that. Check it out if you like those type of films. So this one was, again, one I checked out on, I think it was on Amazon Prime or Netflix when it first, or quite soon after it first came out. And I was thinking about it, and I thought, you know what, I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I probably give it credit for at the time. And that is a movie called No Hard Feelings. So yeah, I've been going through, like I keep saying, like a big 80s thing about like old school kind of like comedy you wouldn't get away with today. From the 80s, you know, those kind of teen comedies. I really enjoy those. And I thought about it, and I thought, do you know what? This is probably one of the nearest ones that you would get today that kind of has still some of that vibe, if that makes any sense. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so it's not like completely the old school 80s teen comedies, but it's kind of one of those sort of slightly inappropriate. She's quite older than him in terms of the film. She's been sent to, or she's been kind of like almost hired by this guy's parents to like date him. Yeah, and there's some funny scenes in this, man. There's some really funny scenes in this. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this another shot. And I think on a rewatch, I might actually enjoy this a lot more. I enjoyed it the first time, but I think I might enjoy this a lot more now. I'm much more in the mood for that type of film. So this one's just been up on a few lists as well that I've watched quite over the years, and I've never pulled the trigger, but it came up on eBay for £4 or £5 free postage, something like that. I think it was, from a seller, brand new, sealed. Michael Caine and Demi Moore. So I was going through Demi Moore's back history. If you follow the channel for a while, you'll know I've been going through her back history since watching The Substance. So when I saw that Demi Moore's in it, I thought, yeah, pull the trigger, get it watched, and that is Blame It on Rio. Damn. I mean, this one, can I show the back? Yeah, I think I can show the back. So this one, I mean, they talk about movies you wouldn't get away with today. This is certainly in that category. I was quite surprised at what they showed on this film. So the basic premise of this one, if you're not familiar with it, so these two guys, Michael Caine and the other guy, I can't remember his name, sorry. Basically, they go on holiday. They're friends. They go on holiday together to Rio, and they both take their, I want to say, teenage daughters with them. It's not really a spoiler because this is the whole premise of the film. Basically, one of the teenage daughters starts to flirt with one of the dads. Obviously not her own dad, the other dad. And let's just say it definitely goes too far. Yeah, slightly awkward, slightly like cringy, but fun time, you know, if you like that type of thing. So next one I picked up, I was more just intrigued with this one. So I remember, I think Jodie from Jodie's Movie Realm was speaking about Avatar recently, and how she really likes it. And again, a lot of people like to poo on it, but I like Avatar. I like visual stuff. You know, again, popcorn and horror, so popcorn movie for me. Just throw it on, enjoy the visuals. That's all I need. And this one was a remaster of the first Avatar. So I've got the first Avatar somewhere on the regular Blu-ray they released, but this one was the remastered, and for £3. I thought, yeah, I'll give the remaster a try. I mean, the first one looked pretty good to me anyway, but happy to try that out. Again, nice slip on it, quite nice and fresh. £3, can't go wrong. So, sorry, my pile's getting too big, bear with me. Alright, next one. So this one is, again, one I haven't seen in a long time, but it is one that I absolutely loved the first time I saw it. If I'm not mistaken, this is a Frank Darabont movie, director of Green Mile, one of my favourite movies of all time, Shawshank Redemption, and that is The Majestic. And weirdly, I think after I bought this, Ollie kept mentioning it on his channel, so I'm sure Ollie's a fan. He may even have this, I think he said. But yeah, I found this one. I can't remember if I bought this on the cheap or where it was just paid full whack for it. Can't remember, doesn't matter. But yeah, Jim Carrey obviously starring in this one, and The Majestic. So great film by, I'm sure it's Frank Darabont, please tell me by it is Frank Darabont. So if you're a fan of The Green Mile and you're a fan of Shawshank Redemption, there's a good chance you're going to like this one. Obviously he did The Mist as well. There's a good chance that you'll like the style of this one, if nothing else. And if you're a fan of Jim Carrey, worth checking out. Now, I haven't seen this in a long time, so, you know, I'm very hazy on the plot. I think Ollie was going through it the other day, either on the live stream or on his channel. And from what I remember, I think he said it's kind of a case of this guy returns to a village, or goes to a village with, I think he might have amnesia or something like that, and he can't remember who he is, and then the townspeople basically think he's someone who went missing years ago, something along those lines. It may be wrong. Check it out on IMDb though if any of the things that I've mentioned so far seem interesting. It's a good film from memory. Another one that I just had an urge to watch again, which I haven't actually done yet, but I remember seeing a long time ago, is a John Travolta movie called The General's Daughter. So yeah, one of these, I want to say 90s, it's definitely not 2021 like it says on there. I want to say it's like 90s based movie, maybe early 2000s. But yeah, General's Daughter, so John Travolta, I feel like he's a military man, and I can't remember exactly what the plot of this one ends up being. No, too long ago, can't remember the exact plot of this one. I might have to edit round that so I don't look like such a fool. But yeah, that one basically, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I just want to check it out again because I remember it being quite good the last time I watched it. This one, he was another one that I watched on DVD a few times when I had it back in the collection on DVD years ago as a teen. One of those ones from the co-writer of Meet the Parents, so it's kind of one of those early 2000s comedy type movies. Seems to be, I think it's either hard to get or pricey to get on the UK version for some reason. Must be getting near out of print or is out of print. But I'm pretty sure I picked this up for about £4 on eBay, just like buy it now. And that is Ben Stiller and Jennifer Aniston in Along Came Polly. So yeah, one of those kind of like something about Mary type movies, you know, those type of movies, a little bit of gross out humour in there, I think, from memory. But again, I haven't seen this probably since whenever it came out, like a couple of years after it came out. So a long time ago now. So yeah, do want to check that one out again soon. Okay, I think that concludes all the piles that I have seen before, whether that is a long time ago or whether that is recently for this month. The next bunch here is another stack of almost equal size. We'll be on half an hour. This is going to be an hour long video. Of all the stuff I picked up that I haven't yet seen. So I had a weird sort of like epiphany at the end of the month here, where I just kind of thought I really like sci-fi movies. I like kind of action, big budget, special effects movies. I like 90s movies, I like early 2000s movies, 80s movies, that sort of stuff. And I think when I was at school, this is where it stems from. When I was at school, you were either a fan of this franchise or you were a fan of the other franchise. And no one was both. You picked a side and you stuck to it. So I weirdly, since for like 20 years, I've had that mentality. And I just thought I'm being stupid. I've missed out on 10 movies here, which potentially are absolutely pure gold. So I thought I'd take the plunge and just buy the whole set of the Star Trek movies. So I never watched the TV show, never seen a single episode of Star Trek, the TV show. The only movies I've seen from this are the rebooted ones I think they did in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, with the new ones. So the last 3 that have come out so far. This contains, I believe, the first 10 movies. I want to say from the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. What I know about Star Trek, you could fit on the back of a stamp. It's so minimal. I know nothing. There's a guy called Spock in it. That's pretty much me done. I'm all out. Yeah. So I was a Star Wars fan, so that was the thing. So you picked one when you were back in my school. Like I say, you were either Star Wars or you Star Trek, and you picked on the other guy who basically was the opposite. So I stuck with Star Wars, and I don't have any regrets. But Star Trek. So yeah, I've got 10 movies. I like sci-fi. I like these kind of big flashy action movies. These kind of like sci-fi movies. I'm going to give these a go because especially when they get, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and again, I'm so sorry about my ignorance about these, but I feel like there's some there's a series of these films, maybe 5 or 6 of these ones that are kind of like technically like an old school style Star Trek, and then I think they rebooted it or something along those lines, or did a new ship or something for like the last 4 or 5 of these movies. I'm not 100% sure. And the sort of back end of those is definitely getting towards the 90s, where definitely I was a massive fan of these kind of like 90s action movies or sci-fi movies. So I watched the first one of these. I thought it was alright. It's a little bit slow in places, and again, I think this is notorious for having director's cuts or special cuts to different editions and stuff like that, which people will always argue about which one's best and which one's not. I think I just watched the standard cut of the first movie of this one. A little bit trippy. I'd imagine if you enjoy some sort of like, let's say some sort of special substances, then maybe if you're watching it, you'd be probably like a lot happier than I was for most of the film of the first one. It was decent. It was like, I think I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. It was a good sci-fi tale. I think as Wrath of Khan, I want to say, is the next one, which I did pick up separately just before picking up this box set, because I heard there was a director's cut of that one, and I don't believe the director's cut is in this one. So I thought, I saw it there, and I'll show you why in a minute. I saw it there and I picked up the director's cut of Wrath of Khan, which I'll probably watch next, rather than the standard edition. Correct me if I need to do that the other way around in the comments if you know a lot more about Star Trek than me, which is almost anyone. But yeah, 10 movies in here. Can't wait to check these out again through the summer, probably as I start getting towards the warmer days. So yeah, if I pull out the other one I picked up. So yeah, for £3, really nice slip on this one. Wrath of Khan, which is I believe number 2, Star Trek 2. The director's cut. So like I say, I picked it up purely because I'm pretty sure it's not in this box set, and I feel like there's a first movie which isn't in there, and maybe a 6th. I'm not sure. I'm so lost in Star Trek. But yeah, couldn't believe I've kind of like, you know, avoided that little pocket of films there for so long. So I'm ready to dive into those. Now next one, I want to say someone recommended this, but maybe a long time ago, or it appeared on a few lists again. I'd imagine it's something that Ollie's into. I may have seen it on his channel, or maybe way off. Maybe even Sammy G, but a movie called Once. So yeah, this was £3, obviously CX. A friend of mine was going to London, and they had a copy. So I said, if you do happen to go past it, would you mind picking it up for me? So they did. So yeah, it's a copy of Once. Like I said, I haven't seen this one. I believe I want to say it's an Irish film. Could be wrong. I feel like it's an Irish film, bit of a musical, bit of a kind of like romantic kind of tale. Not 100% sure. I remember someone telling me it was good. Stuck in a pub. On a similar note, this one here, I'm sure it comes up on a few lists that I've been investigating over the last few months. It's coming up really highly rated. Must be out of print. It's a pricey one to pay for, but I thought, again, taking those vouchers and just like trading them for stuff that hopefully is a higher quality of what I've got rid of. And that's another Michael Caine film, and it's called Secondhand Lions. So I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one, but when they do talk very highly about it. The 12 certificate. Now it kind of gets sold as a family film, but a family film with a 12 certificate, so that's quite interesting. There must be something a little bit darker in there to push it over to the 12. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by this one. So yeah, I'm going to put this one quite soon. That's high up on the watch list. Now, I think it was my good friend Marcus that had his chopper out the other week. So not to be kind of like, you know, undone, I thought I'd get one myself. So yeah, this one here, I've never seen this as far as I know. Nice second sight edition. I think it says £22, but I'm pretty sure when I went in to buy it, it was 20 or 18. It would come down in price basically than the 22. So yeah, pick this one up because again, if you were watching at the start of the video, I was going for a bit of a splurge on just getting loads of second sight limited edition sets essentially. So I picked that one up. Now this one has been recommended a few times to me, and this one is a movie called Perfume. I found this is on DVD. I found this for 20p, new and sealed, in a charity shop. The story of murder. I think it's like a bit of a dark, murdery thriller tale. But yeah, it's got recommended to me a few times. Who's in this one? Alan Rickman, Dustin Hoffman. Yeah, it looks quite old school, kind of almost gothic tale looking. Intrigued for 20p. I'm definitely intrigued. So this one here I picked up again because I don't think it's got a Blu-ray, and this one's got Brittany Murphy in it and Thora Birch, like both of those. It's that sort of time period when I was really into horror, sort of, I want to say early 2000s again, and that is a movie I'd never heard of called Deadline. So yeah, bought it basically based on the cast and the fact that it's going to be some sort of like horror-based movie from that period of horror I really enjoyed. Next one was one I feel like I've seen, although I do get these muddled up. This, I believe, is a sequel slash maybe even a remake. A bit like how they were doing in the early 2000s, the remake of Texas Chainsaw and Hills Have Eyes and all those type of movies. This one's the one that doesn't get talked about anywhere near as much as those, as far as I know. But it says from the producers of Insidious, Sinister, and American Horror Story, and this is The Town That Dreaded Sundown. So again, I don't know if this version has got a Blu-ray. I know the original has, because I've got that back up on the shelves here somewhere. But yeah, picked up this one because I feel like I saw it back in the day and quite enjoyed it. If not, I do enjoy the other type of movies that got remade around this time. So yeah, wanted to check this one out again, if I have seen it, or if not, check it out for the first time soon. Now this one was just a complete whim. I was in a charity shop browsing these titles and I saw this one. I had never heard of it to my knowledge before. Didn't really recognise anyone from the cast. Had a quick look on the CEX app. It sells for £3 or £4 on a CEX. This was going for £1 in a charity shop. Looked like an early-ish 2000s horror movie. DVD again, and that is called Corpses. So little to know nothing about that one. I know little to nothing about that one. That's probably more correct. So yeah, if you know anything about that one and it's worth a go, then let me know. But I thought it's cheaper than checking it out through CEX for the money they were charging to buy it in a charity shop. So yeah, picked it up there and then. Another one which is just kind of like I somehow missed. You know, there's films that you just kind of like, you know, and you see the cover of so often, and it's got a big cast: Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, but you just never get to. I found this was 20p in a charity shop, and that's The Mexican. So I'm sure there'll be some fans of this one out here to just like tell me whether this is worth a try or not. But again, for 20p on DVD, worth checking out. The Mexican, I remember this being quite big when it came out. I think I was in school at the time. We still got loads to go. Still got loads to do. So the next one. This one here was, again, a bit of a whim. Just kind of saw it in a CEX, thought I'd never seen that around before. I want to say it's quite new, this one, 2023. I want to say horror thriller, maybe? I haven't seen this one, like I say. This one's called Little Bone Lodge. So I watched a trailer for this. The trailer looked quite good, to be fair. But yeah, £5, obviously, this one. And I think it's one of those type of tales where someone, like a home invasion style movie, but I think when the home invasion gets turned on its head, I want to say, I don't know, I haven't seen it for sure, but I feel like the home invasion people basically regret home invading. So yeah, I think it's going to be a few gory scenes in there, hopefully. Now, I'm not into westerns very much. Like, I know a lot of guys out there are into westerns. It's just never something that's gelled with me. I've tried a few times, and it's very rare that one sparks my interest. But I did quite enjoyed the fact that this one was an 18 and it seemed a bit more modern than when I traditionally think of westerns myself. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's not even a type of western, but I feel like it is. And that is Young Guns. So again, I think loads of people would have seen this one, but I've never seen it. The cast in this one's kind of sold it on it for me. I can't read who's in it now or even see them without my glasses, but you guys will know because I'm sure a lot of people know that this film is really well known. But again, £2, thought I'd pick it up. Next one was a film, I've seen the remake of this one, which I quite enjoyed, but I think people kind of sleep, so apparently this one's going to be the much better version. And that's a Patrick Swayze movie called Red Dawn. So yeah, found this in a CEX for £10. It seemed to be about, you know, pretty decent going rate for what the movie was costing at the time. I think there's a 4K just come out, but yeah, Red Dawn. Again, I think the basic premise is if it follows the same as the sequel, the remake. I think this kind of American town basically gets paratroopers come in from, I want to say Russia, and just kind of like starts taking over the town, and these guys basically have to just drop tools and try and defend their town. I think that's the idea, but again, a lot of you guys will know better than me on that one. So this one here was, again, one that basically seemed not massively hard to get, but just not very common in a lot of CEXs and not very common to buy online unless you want to pay a fairly decent price for it, compared to what I did in CEX. So it's a Keira Knightley, Mark Ruffalo movie, called Begin Again, I think it is. Begin Again, yeah. And again, I want to say it's one of those films that either Sammy G or Ollie or someone like that is probably really into and recommended in the past, and it's just been up there in the brain. So when I saw it for £1.50, I thought, yeah, pull the trigger, get that one in, and check it out. So yeah, if either of you guys or anyone else watching the video may have seen this one, you know, let me know. Seems like it's going to be a good watch. Oh, nearly lost the whole pile. So this one here is one that I've seen around a few times, but I just had a little look on IMDb and it sounded quite good. A movie called I Am Not a Serial Killer. Something tells me that's a lie, but you know, could be wrong. Haven't seen it. Just thought £3, looks interesting. I'm pretty sure I saw Nicky out at Skin Crawlers pick this one, or he not pick it up. He had it in his collection when I was watching his collection video the other week. So you know, let me know how is that one. I think that's potentially up my street for like a bit of horror movies. I like a bit of a gory kind of time. Put that one up. Boom. Another one I picked up was, again, the one that doesn't come around very often near me, so when I saw it I thought I will pull the trigger. I want to say I couldn't remember at all if I'd seen this one. I watched the trailer and nothing was ringing a bell, so maybe I haven't. So this is a Mark Wahlberg film called Four Brothers. So again, if anyone's seen this one, feel free to let me know about it. So all the second half of the movies are all ones I haven't seen or can't remember if I have. But again, the trailer looks pretty good. I thought I'd pick that one up. This one was heavily inspired by, again, my friend Tim Cole. There is a second sight release. It was only a standard edition, but I'm just going to check this one out. I had the DVD, but I thought I just hadn't watched the DVD. I thought I'm going to upgrade it to the Blu-ray because I do like blowing these things up big on the old big screen. And that is A Bittersweet Life. So I'm pretty sure Tim is a big fan of this movie, as a lot of people are, I'm sure. But yeah, £10 again with sort of like not free money, but you know what I mean. Like when you get vouchers and you've got so many of them, you just think I could get anything I fancy and it's not going to come out of my wallet. So yeah, picked it up for £10, and again another one that's high up on the watch list. What have we got? We've got probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. 10, 12 times left to do. 13 maybe? Sorry. So we've got this one here, the aggression scale. So again, this one £2. Looked like another type of home invasion style movie. When I do like those kind of movies. They're, you know, quite tense for me, and quite like sometimes they get quite gritty and quite realistic. So yeah, I'm not sure. That's the aggression scale. Is it aggression tail? Aggression scale. This one was a movie called, I thought this one was a lot older than it was in terms of release, but I don't think it's as old as I give it in my head that I thought it was. I watched the trailer for this and it looked really good. I'm sure a lot of you guys would have seen this one, and that is a film called The Limey. So yeah, 18 certificate, looks like a bit of a revenge kind of like gangster type thriller thing. Not 100% sure. Looks like this guy goes off on someone or tracks down some people, but yeah, well-known film, but just one I've never got to before. This one, I want to say this is, what did I find interesting about this? I feel like it's a Clint Eastwood directed movie. Could be his first directed movie. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but a movie called Breezy. So again, £2, and the fact that Clint was directing it, and I quite like a lot of movies he's directed, so I thought I'd give this one a try. What was the idea behind this one? So basically, I think a young girl called Breezy, she's a hitchhiker, escapes from a treacherous driver, takes refuge in the car of this guy on the cover here. He's divorced, middle-aged, real estate agent, and the two are very different people. They don't see eye to eye when they come across an injured dog, but somehow he and Breezy come to forge an unusual relationship against all conventional expectations. Don't know. Intriguing. Like £2, again, interested, put it in the pile. So this was the other, there was a 2 for 15 back here somewhere, Fright I think it was. The other one I picked up with that is a David Bowie movie, The Man Who Fell to Earth. So I'm almost certain I haven't seen this one. Obviously I love Labyrinth, and he stars in that as well. So I thought it's pretty much the only film I think I've seen him in. So I thought when I saw this one, I've heard of this one a few times, I just never got around to watching it. For the 2 for 15, I wanted to pick it up and check it out. Again, nice slipcover on it. Another Tim Cole inspiration here. So again, I saw this one in CEX for £6 with a slipcover on it, and it's The Cold Light of Day. I think Tim said this one was based on, like, was it a real serial killer or something like that, or a real, I think it's this real serial killer event. Apparently quite slow. I'll be honest, I don't have the highest hopes for this one. It didn't, you know, it didn't inspire me too much. The kind of premise of the film and the look of the film when I watched the trailer. However, I know Tim sort of like quite enjoyed it, so he's normally a good judge. And for £6 with a slip, it's hard to say no to. So that one went in. This one was probably inspired by Stuart George, I'd imagine, because I know back in the end of January, was it? He did a video about Anthony Hopkins, and I watched a few of the Anthony Hopkins movies that I really enjoyed myself. And I picked up a movie called Howard's End. So was that £5? Again, know little to nothing about it. I just know that I really enjoy Anthony Hopkins as a performer. So yeah, happy to check that one out. It looks a little bit. I don't tend to like things. I don't tend to think I like things that are kind of like a period drama style movie, but sometimes they end up being my favourite films of all time. So who knows? This one was a movie that stars, is it Eva Green or Evergreen, however you want to say it. Again, I feel like this one was one that just never flags up near me. I hadn't seen the cover around. Seems quite pricey to pick up anywhere else other than CEX. So I thought, well, I've got the opportunity and it's on the shelf there for the money it is. I'll pick it up and check it out. That's a movie called Cracks. Yeah, I can't remember if I want to say is she like a teacher or something. I feel like she's a teacher or something in this school. I don't know much about this one, I'll be honest. So look it up if it looks interesting. It's quite. I think £5 is a very reasonable price to pick this one up at. I want to say it goes for like £10-15 on eBay upwards. It must be out of print or getting that way if not. But yeah, I do like her, Eva Green. She's pretty good. So I picked it up. I did look it up way early in the month when I found this movie in a CEX near me. I did look it up, read the premise, and it sounded quite interesting. Should have done my research before the video, but there's so many titles to go through. So the next one was a Dario Argento movie, which again I don't think I've seen. I'm almost certain I haven't seen, on the Shameless label, and that is Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Again, I know a lot of you horror guys out there would have seen this one by now. I just haven't got around to it, and I still haven't, to be honest. Not sure if I can show the back of that one too much. So yeah, Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Yeah, go check it out at some point. I have to be in the mood for this type of film, to be honest. I think it's probably Italian, not 100%. So what else we got down here? Next one I picked up was a movie. I think this one come up again on eBay. I think it was for about £4 buy it now, I want to say. Robert Redford, Mark Ruffalo in The Last Castle. So I forget, someone was recommending this one on their channel, and I'm so sorry I can't remember who it was, but someone was recommending this one. When I saw it for £4 on eBay, I thought, yeah, I remember someone telling me this was really good. Throw it in the basket. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty interesting on the sort of summary on IMDb. In it went. This is another one which I feel like it's a type of movie that both Sammy G and Ollie will probably be into, or will be able to tell me a bit more about. But it's a Ben Stiller movie. It's got Amanda Seyfried? I don't know how to say her name. And Adam Driver, I want to say, is in this one by the looks of it. Yep, Adam Driver. While We're Young. So I had a nice slip on this one. It was £2.50. Again, I feel like it's one that if you want to buy it anywhere else other than CEX, they're going to cost you at least 2 or 3 times this much, if not more. So again, once the opportunity was there, I thought throw it in the basket, throw it in the bags, I think, and away we went. So yeah, again, sorry I can't tell you anything about these back end ones. I've just got so many titles picked up this month. I haven't had a chance to get through them all, only about half of them. Next one is another one that was for the same reason of it literally just doesn't come up very often in anywhere near me, and you pay like silly money compared to this for it online to pick it up. A movie called Wonderstruck. So yeah, there we go, Wonderstruck. I don't know a great deal. I think it's about some sort of time period jump thing where this girl from olden times and this kid from modern times basically are somehow seeing each other's, not history, but like he's seeing how she used to live or something like that. No idea. It looks interesting. Thought I'd throw it in the pile. Next one, was it To the Wander? I think it is. Terrence Malick, I want to say. I'm quite hit and miss with Terrence Malick, to be fair. Some of them I really enjoy, some I don't. But was it Ben Affleck? Yeah, Ben Affleck's in this one. Rachel McAdams, I do like both of those. So I thought I'd give it a try again for £3. It's another one of those titles that cost you loads more to pick it up anywhere else. This one was a bit of a gamble, but for £1 I'm happy to gamble as an After Dark title with a slip on it called Fertile Ground. Is it Fertile Ground? Yeah, Fertile Ground. Again, know very little to nothing about it. I know Marcus, my pal Marcus over at Xfile 2708. He's got had a couple of these After Dark titles, and said they're quite hit and miss as well. But I do like trashy horror, so I'm hoping this will be some sort of trash that I enjoy. For £1, worth picking up. Okay, last title here is a movie called Kids. So I'm pretty sure, I think this is the guy who directed the movie Bully that I watched last month or month before I picked up. it might have been a while ago. Anyway, I picked up the movie Bully ages ago, and I'm pretty sure this is the same director, and I want to say I saw this on DVD when I was young, but this one came up for a good price on buy now. I can't remember what it was, but it was a buy now price, and I just thought, yeah, I'm going to throw it over here. I haven't seen it in absolutely ages. Can't remember a thing about it. I just remember it being pretty decent if you like those kind of like teenage movies where, you know, like I said at the start of the video, where something goes wrong and they end up having to deal with it. I want to say it's one of those type movies. So here's a movie called Kids. We made it. So that video is going to be almost an hour long. Sorry if that took up so much of your time, but you know, that is everything I picked up in February. I've got high hopes that March, quote me on this when I have a mass pile again, but I hope March is going to be a much lighter month. I'm going to do a couple of maybe different videos on the interim, like between now and the next one. I know I haven't been tending to lately. I've been doing just haul videos, but that's all I've had time for, really, to be honest. So yeah, that'll be it for today's video. Thank you so much if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, and I will hopefully see you in March for a much shorter video, if not for a few videos in between that as well. So thanks everyone. Cheers, bye.